you're an illustrator, graphic designer, web designer, it has a place, and it's so useful for making sure that the work you produce is not just good, but excellent. Today, I'm going to teach you the 4 main pillars I use when I want to know exactly what my clients want from me as a designer. Some of you know me as an illustrator, and for the most part, I would say this is true. It's the core part of me that I say makes me as a professional artist. But did you also know that I work in user interface and experience design? And before I moved over, actually, it was my full-time job for about 3 years. It's a field of design that I absolutely love and have thankfully found some contract work involved in it since moving over, as well as working on this, my small business. Most of these contracts have had me not just designing some form of web or app design, but brand work, specifically involving illustrations and finding the correct tone for another person's business. And it's not an easy task. You could just whip up some designs that, your client is happy with and you're just one and done with it. But wouldn't you rather make something that is excellent other than just good? As this is the difference between those two things, tone and discovering exactly what your client needs. So with this being said, let's explore the 4 pillars to consider when finding your client's design wants, especially keeping illustration in mind. In order, we have project, prospects, system, and deliverables, and it's crucial that we ask this in this order, as good UX is all about storytelling and the natural progression of achieving the user's needs and wants. This also means there are no right or wrong answers from your clients. It's all just useful information for you both to understand what the right starting direction is for the project. Starting from the top, we have project, and we're going to funnel our way down from here. This is the biggest section of the 4 because it's where you'll discuss the category of work you'll be doing, and you really want to go from general opinions to personal. And so you can begin with asking questions such as, what does branding mean to you? What is the purpose of illustration in branding? And what is a good brand and why? And you can then fire back these questions with the reverse. So then what is a bad branding? What's a bad illustration? The reason why you want to ask these questions is because you want to figure out the pain points for your clients. Again, remember, there are no right or wrong answers, and you can change the words here. For example, I use the term branding, but you could change that to book, to character design, or whatever you need to fit the project that you've been hired for. From there, you can ask closer to home but similar questions such as, is there anything you like/dislike about your current branding? And what story are you trying to tell? Now, you might disagree with the answers given, such as, your client being a fan of Disney's branding and style, and maybe you don't feel that way. But remember, this is about you knowing this information about your client, and it's a great starting source for you to then observe and learn as you develop the illustrations that your client is seeking for. Section 2 is all about prospects, and what we mean by this is customers. So, what kind of customer does your client want to attract? Here you can ask questions such as, how do you think prospects currently perceive your website? And how do you want to be perceived? Here is usually where you'll hear descriptors, so do take extra note on how your client is reacting when they describe how they want customers to see their brand. So for example, if they want their website to be bold and confident and they seem really excited by this, write that down, as this will also help you create a branding and illustration that your client will enjoy. Moving on to system, this simply means where will the work that you make be made and stored. So let's say your client wants some new illustrations for their app. They will most likely need digital illustrations that will need to be vectorized, and so could be then located in a digital design library such as Adobe Illustrator or Figma. With this in mind, you could ask questions such as, what is the ideal media for this project? And what would make an easy design system for the illustrations? The reason why you want to ask these kind of questions is because sometimes a client only needs you for a short contract, and so they want to make sure that the work they get from you will be accessible to have once you're no longer part of that project. Finally, finish your questions off with deliverables. Here is where you talk about what is needed and when. So let's say you've been hired to make a bunch of illustrations for an upcoming book. Here is where you would ask what needs to be illustrated and what needs to be done first. So, for example, there could be a key character or location that your client wants to see first. So a question you could ask could be similar to, what do you think is the first priority for this project? And that's it for the pillars. My final important note before you go is to make sure that you record the interview with your client so that you can both reference it when it's needed. Take notes throughout and let the client do most of the talking, as this is about truly figuring out what they exactly want from you. Remember, there are no right or wrong answers, so don't debate or encourage any thoughts or processes that your client is having. Be mutual but friendly as possible throughout the whole process. So you might be wondering, well, I've done the interview, Kirsty, now what do I do? And honestly, fair question. So what you need to do is gather everything that you've recorded and all the notes that you have taken throughout the interview, and make notes of any recurring behaviors, adjectives, or phrases that have been said. So an example of this could be when you are asking your client about what makes a good brand for them, they may have kept mentioning that they enjoy color or stuff that is colorful and bold. And maybe your client keeps bringing this back up throughout the whole interview. What this means is that your client is looking for that. So you need to take note that, okay, my client really loves bold and colorful things, which means the illustrations I made for them have to reflect this also. And that really is it. I really hope this helps you as much as it's helped me with my client work. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to ask below. If you have any suggestions, please do share with us as well, because as said, I absolutely love UX, and sometimes it feels like it gets just mingled with UI design, and UX methods can actually be used throughout the whole creative process, no matter what you're doing. So if you're an illustrator, graphic designer, web designer, it has a place, and it's so useful for making sure that the work you produce is not just good, but excellent. Again, I really hope this helps and that you've enjoyed the video. Please do like, subscribe, and comment a pen emoji if you got this far. You can support me further on my Ko-fi, where I offer exclusive content and discounts from my online store, kirsties.com. But again, thank you so much for getting this far. Every little bit of support just means so much to me, and I'm excited with this channel's growth. I can't wait to see you next time. Bye guys!